just today. Thank you for inviting me to speak here. It's a great honor. President? Okay. Sorry. It's a ritual for me whenever I meet Tibetan people to offer my apology. So here, I apologize for all the atrocities the Chinese government has committed in Tibet. I am very sorry. And I'd like to pay tribute and offer my condolences to Norchuk, who recently burned herself to sacrifice for freedom of Tibet. The Tibetan people were the first to rise up against the Chinese Communist Party. You were the first to do this in this world. You are the pioneers, and I look up to you. And the Tibet pioneers in 1959 were the first ones who did the Occupy movement, occupying Lhasa streets, showing us a great example how to rise up against the brutal regime while severely outnumbered. And 30 years later, our Tibetan brothers and sisters again who led the movement against this brutal Chinese Communist Party regime. In 1989, in March, many Tibetan people sacrificed again for freedom and democracy and independence. At that time, I was in Beijing. I was a college freshman. A Chinese friend who visited Lhasa, who returned to Beijing, told us what he saw in Lhasa streets, how the armed Chinese police beat up peaceful Tibetan protesters brutally. I wish the students of Tianmen movement had known the details of our Tibetan brothers and sisters' struggle earlier than us. I wish we had known how to connect with our Tibetan brothers and sisters in Lhasa, and how to connect with other Chinese brothers and sisters marching in the streets for democracy in more than 100 cities all over China back then. We can blame the lack of telecommunication, no internet and no cell phones back then, and the lack of mutual knowledge and the lack of mutual understanding. Now, in 2015, we have no technology, nothing else to blame but our fear and loathing. It's the Chinese Communist Party who's been trying their very, very hard to divide us, to incite hatred among us, and to spread all these lies all over China, saying to the world and making the world, including President Obama and Michelle Obama, saying Tibet is part of China. What a blatant lie. It infuriates me. I nearly got killed in Tiananmen Square in the morning of June 4th, 1989. For what? To be able to vote for democracy. Hundreds and thousands of Chinese died, were brutally killed, crushed by tanks for this one simple right to vote for our own leader. And here in America, when I was my first time to vote, I voted for President Obama. I was hoping he would make some change because he said, yes, we can. But he did not. He let us down. He kept saying lies after lies. I'm not here supporting the Republican That's why they keep spreading lies for China. This Nazi regime, they support all the lies and violence. President Xi Jinping has been spreading. It's not just spreading the lies and violence, spreading pollution as well, spreading the wrong way of doing things, doing business, destroying humanity and destroying morality. This is very wrong. This is a very dangerous trend. It is up to us to tell them it's not on. It's up to us to say no to them. And now, Hong Kong people are on the forefront of fighting against this brutal regime. There's no such thing as one country, two systems. They threw it in the waste bin a long time ago. What they've been doing in Hong Kong is what they've been doing in Tibet and East Turkestan, which they call Xinjiang. And this is what they've been doing in Southern Mongolia, which they call Inner Mongolia. They've been doing their expansion of dictatorship, expansion of our evil superpower all over the world. And you can see here along Michigan Avenue, I'm pretty sure, I don't live here, but I'm pretty sure all those luxury stores and the properties are swept up by the corrupt Chinese officials and their mistresses and their family members. And the American universities, Ivy League, are full of those princelings. They're here polluting our whole system, encroaching on democracy. It's up to us here, Americans. We're here as Americans. We need to tell them this is not on. If President Obama is going to lie wisdom, trying to do business, being a little wimpy kid, but we don't have to be like them. We individuals, when we are united, when we form our own front, our own alliance with our Tibetan brothers and sisters, and the Uyghurs, and the Chinese, and the Hong Kongers, and the Taiwanese, and the Mongols, we can do something. We can be very powerful. We can bring change. And it's not up to the corporate leaders and the banks, the businessmen, and the politicians to tell us what to do, to make all this fear everywhere. It's no longer, in America, it's no longer love in the air, it's fear in the air. Everybody's so scared. Everybody's scared of China. China is a paper dragon, a paper tiger. China is cheating and tricking the whole world and making us scared. And Tibet has never been part of China. Tibet belongs to Tibetans. And China belongs to the Chinese people. People's Republic of China belongs to people. And Hong Kong belongs to Hong Kong people. And Taiwan has always been an independent country, has never been part of China. And Uyghurs deserve their independence. And the Southern Mongolians deserve their independence. We students in Tiananmen Square learned the hard lesson. We went on hunger strike, we marched for months, weeks. We got slaughtered, we got crushed by tanks for what? Just for some dialogue. There's no such dialogue. And the Hong Kong students, they went on hunger strike, they camped in the streets. They're teenagers, they're even younger than us, those students of Tiananmen. They wanted a dialogue. They're not even allowed to board the plane, the flight going to Beijing. This is not on. So it's not on to ask for a dialogue. We should demand. We should form our own resistance forces and fight with them peacefully, not with violence. Because lies and violence are their weapons. Truth and compassion are ours. And we should demand our countries back. Tibetans should demand independence. And I'm Sichuanese, I demand Sichuanese independence. And the Chinese, a few hours ago, I put out a message on social media in Chinese language, asking Chinese people to make suggestions what they would like me to talk about in this speech. They said, please do not forget history. people are still fighting for freedom and independence. The Chinese government has been cracking down on dissent, and it's the worst under the Xi Jinping regime. This is the worst since the Cultural Revolution. He's the most ruthless dictator since Deng Xiaoping. We need to wake up and realize this is a Nazi regime. He's even worse than Hitler. And we should not have wishful thinking, because look at the basic law of Hong Kong and the joint declaration between Britain and China. It was a joke. They broke that international law. And the Chinese constitution protects people's rights to assemble and freedom of speech. And the Chinese constitution says all nationalities are equal. It's all a lie. They never comply with their own constitution. Why are we here asking them for a dialogue to work within the framework of the Chinese constitution, which the Chinese Communist Party ignores themselves? We should demand our independence, our human rights, our basic rights back. We should demand our freedoms instead of asking them nicely. It's not a nice battle here. It's going to be nasty because it has been nasty. Tens of millions of Chinese and Uyghurs and Tibetans and Mongols have died in this battle. We have to hang on to it and keep fighting. Per Gallo, thank you very much.